Hey everybody, welcome back to another movie review. I hope you guys were enjoying my collab video, which I did recently. This review is going to come out on the 25th, so on Monday. Depending on if any other new stuff comes out. The last collab video, I just mentioned that that'll be the video that I'd be keeping up for a few days because really there's not a lot of news that's going to come out. I mean, likely delays and stuff that we talked about, um, but I just, wanted to give myself a little break just because, didn't want to keep posting videos all the time. Give some room for other videos to, be watched and all that stuff. Um, but anyways, let's get into talking about Our Friend. This is the latest film to come out on VOD. It stars Casey Affleck, Dakota Johnson, and Jason Segel, and it tells a story of a trio of longtime friends, and Dakota Johnson, who's married to Casey Affleck's character. She falls to terminal cancer, and Jason Segel and Casey Affleck now have to make sure that she's taken care of, and she has about 6 months left to live. And they try to do their best as the story unfolds. We get to see throughout each person's perspective how they feel, not only in their situation but within their own lives as well, and um, and ultimately how they come together in friendship and wanting to help one another throughout not only Dakota Johnson's time, but also through Affleck's and Seagal's um, uh, dealings as well. Um, so it's a story about friendship, and going into it, I heard a lot of good things about it, and the movie was actually called The Friend, because it's actually based off an article that Casey Affleck's character would eventually write in the film. For some reason, they changed it to Our Friend, probably to make it more obvious what they're trying to discuss in the film, I guess thematically speaking, towards the audience. Um, but there are a couple things in here that I really liked, and obviously no film is perfect. I will address some of the stuff that I felt could have been improved upon it. But the first thing right out the gate that I think that is really good about the film is the trio themselves. I think shine tremendously here. I think Casey Affleck, Dakota Johnson, and Jason Segel are all great in this movie. They are all great. They all bring their A game. I think each bring unique textures to the story, and they feel like a pair of true friends. They don't feel like they're distant from each other. They don't feel like they're awkward around each other. They really, really feel like they are true friends, and they've been friends for a long time. It really feels like that through these performances, especially Casey Affleck. Again, I've raved about Casey Affleck for a long time. I love Casey Affleck as a performer, and he shows it again here how great of a performer he is, as well as Dakota Johnson. I was really impressed by Dakota Johnson because, of course, she has a lot of on her shoulders to play. She has to play a woman that is dealing with terminal cancer, based on a true story, obviously. Also, if I didn't establish it, and she brings so much charisma and life to her role, and is also heartbreaking when you just see her going through um, the phases of terminal cancer. Um, it's heartbreaking. There's one scene in the film which I won't spoil. It's not the obvious scene. I know it's obvious. I don't think I'm spoiling anything when I say terminal cancer, but there's an obvious moment that plays. Um, but the aftermath of said moment, when certain things are presented to Casey Affleck's character when he's looking through a few letters, or a few how do I say it without spoiling it? Um, Dakota Johnson wanted to leave something for her kids, and apparently she left something for Affleck as well. And when that moment happened, I just started crying. I could not stop crying at that moment. It was such a heartbreaking scene, and it really hit me really hard. And of course, the obvious was also quite um, heartbreaking as well, because we've gone through, I would say, a fairly good journey with these characters. Because as I was leading into, the emotional beats, I would say, are earned. They feel justified, in my opinion, as well as its levity, because this is also quite a light film. I know it deals with a very heavy subject, but it also deals with it in a very um, grounded yet charming atmosphere. Because to be honest, I think this is how, at least hopefully, this is how it would happen in one's instance in finding humor in this type of situation. and it really feels realistic in that respect. Um, so, like I said, the performances are very strong, like very, very strong. I think the emotional beats hit quite well. However, as I was kind of leading into it being kind of a lighter film and stuff, it's also a very soft film. And I think that that's also where my issues start to creep in because the script plays itself very safe. It's also a very surface level script, um, and meaning that the film plays the way I describe the film. You would expect one thing from the film, and you're kind of hoping that the film can dive into a different area, versus playing to a certain idea. It does play to that certain idea that you kind of are thinking it will do. And it's not like a bad thing for me, but I just found it a little disappointing that they did play it rather soft. Um, there are also some inconsistencies, tonally speaking. There are moments where we'll go very light and then we get really dark, and it doesn't feel like it's a smooth transition. It just feels kind of rough in many areas. Um, and I feel like also there are a lot of moments that we needed to see that the film doesn't show us. There are very pivotal moments and very important moments that I feel that the film just kind of cuts away from. Quite literally, there are scenes that they like show you like important stuff, and then they kind of cut away from it. And I kind of wish that they showed us those scenes. I understand that they're trying to play a little bit more of a lighthearted film. They're not trying to go for something that's a lot more um, hard to watch, I guess. But those scenes I feel are important, especially for Dakota Johnson's character and for Casey Affleck's character. And I really would like to have seen those scenes. I also think that certain moments in the film needed more time to flesh out. There are moments that are, again, extremely important to certain characters, but they don't feel complete. They feel like they just kind of end. And I wanted to see more elaboration. I wanted to see more explanation for certain elements so that I could feel a lot more connected to this trio. Because the performances give me that connection, but in terms of a narrative, I don't feel like I know a lot about these characters besides certain elements that the film chooses to show me. Um, because the other thing that I feel that the film doesn't really do well in terms of storytelling is visual storytelling. There is a common visual of the ocean and the beach, and then like a peak of like uh, a walkway of course, like looking out in the ocean. I'm not sure what the filmmaker was referring to, and it doesn't, at least to me, it doesn't really add any compelling drama or development for our characters. There's obviously something about that visual that that filmmaker wants to depict, but by the time that we come to the revelation of what that visual represents, we don't really get a sense as to what it really means. We understand that there's something involving friendship, but really a tight, um, there's not really a tight impact that you get. Something where you go, wow, I understand now. You kind of go, okay. I mean, we've gotten that message already throughout the entire film. Now, when we get to this moment, we really want to feel something a lot very, very personal, but we don't really feel it. Um, so, um, yeah, I mean, listen, I mean, there are flaws with it. There are many flaws, like I said. It's mainly it boils down to the script and with it being a lot playing itself very safe. And I think that there are some big inconsistencies, tonally speaking. Um, Even though its flaws are mainly from its soft and surface level approach to incredibly sensitive material, its strong performances, I'm telling you, its strong performances all around make up for it almost entirely, even with the bumps that it does bear along the way.